I'm not sure why, but I am having a really difficult time recording this tutorial. Usually I do it on the first try, but I am now on try number 4, and it's frustrating, but we'll get through it. So what we're going to do today is conditional statements, branches, and booleans. And we use conditional statements to make something happen when a criteria is met. So, like having a key to open a door, which we're going to do, yeah. All right, so first thing, let's go ahead and open the content drawer. Go to our blueprints, go to our game, and open up the Hour of Code blueprint. For our purposes, I would say dock it up here so you can switch through. All right, so conditionals, statements, the if-thens, we have already done in GDevelop. When we created the sprite, if sprite is in collision with coin would be the conditional statement, then delete coin. That's the then. So the if the player collides with the object, then delete. If then statements, that's all it is. So in Unreal Engine blueprints, they use what's called a branch. So let's make one really fast. We're going to press B key and left click. And now we have a branch. So the condition currently is true because it's checked, right? So in the game, if the condition is true, then it goes true and on to the next node. If it's false, it goes on to the next node. That's false. If there's nothing at this node, then the check is done and the program's over. That's all. But let's go ahead and open up in variables, our inventory. And we have this have key boolean. And remember, the boolean is just true or false. But notice it's red here and it's red here. So we know those work very nicely together. So let's go ahead and drag the key in. And now we have the choice between get key, get have key, and set have key. The difference between those is very simple. Get have key means do we have this information? And set have key means are we going to set the information? So we already have the information. He either has the key or he doesn't. So get have key. All right, so now we have key, meaning they've got the key. So I'm going to connect this to my node input. And now the check mark's gone because this is the check mark, right? That is all we have it. So the condition, does he have the key? If he does, it's true. If he doesn't, it's false. That's all. Pretty simple. Now let's go ahead and delete these and open up another blueprint. Content drawer, blueprints, and let's check out door locked. Door locked. So right now, let me delete this. Remember I said that I've been redoing this, so this is already done. What's happening here is in our condition, we're saying the condition is that they have the key. Right, so you would just connect it there in an actual blueprint. So what we're saying is the condition is having the key, and if the condition is true or met, then it moves on. So it will move on to true, and it's doing it. If it's false, it's the end of the program. That's all. So let's compile it, save it, and move on. So here's our game. If you're not at this screen, go ahead and press 5 on the keyboard, and it'll take you to this spot, a bookmark spot. And what we're going to do, let's go ahead and click these 3 dots, and let's play the game at the current camera location, so that every time we restart it, it's going to restart where the camera is, where you're looking. It'll make it much easier and faster. So let's play the game. And I'm just going to walk up to the door. It says press E to open. I'm going to walk up, and I get this message, key needed. And when I press E, it does nothing. So let me go into this command line. And I think we did this in the other yeah, we did do this in the lesson. So I'm going to play the game. In my command line, I'm going to type in show collision. And now we can see, right, as soon as I hit that collision, it's telling me that I need the key. So what's happening is when the layer collision and the player collide, the blueprint runs the check to see if you have the key, and the condition is either true or false. So let's go ahead and open up blueprints, and we're actually going to make a blueprint now. So in the empty space, right click, and we'll go to blueprint, and we're going to click blueprint class. Blueprint class. And what we're going to create is an actor, and that's just an object that can be placed or spawned in the world. All right, there's our actor. And let's name it BP for blueprint underscore key. All right, so here's our key. And I just want to drag it into our world. So I'm just dragging the key into the world. Maybe I'll move it up a little bit. Okay, so now we have our blueprint in our world, and we are going to modify it so that it does stuff. So let's go ahead and open up our drawer again. Double click on our key blueprint. And here's our object in the viewport. And then here's our event graph. Nothing going on. So first thing you want to do, we need to add a collision, right? Because the key needs to be collided with in order to set the blueprint in motion, putting it that yes, we do have it in the Boolean variable saying it's on. So to do that, we click here on components because we're going to add a new component. Add, and type in collision. And we want a box collision. No, we don't. We don't want a box collision. We want a sphere collision. Oh, add sphere. There we go. Sphere collision. All right, so now we actually have a collision in our blueprint. And let's go ahead and name this sphere underscore COLL for sphere collision, just so we know what it is. All right. Remember, we don't have, the collision doesn't show up in the game that you see So we need to add a mesh, something showing that, hey, it's actually something. So let's go ahead and I'm going to clear out that. Add another component. Add. And we're going to add a static mesh. So now we have a static mesh. And we have a sphere collision. If for some reason, when you added the static mesh, it puts it under the sphere collision, what you've done is parent-childed it. Parent-childed it? Set it as a parent-child relationship. So whatever this one does, which we do not want that. So all you have to do, pull it out, drop it back in your default scene root, click attach, and now you have it correct. All right, so now we have our static mesh, and here is our static mesh, and we have nothing there. All right, it says none. So we want to add a mesh so that there's something there. And let's type in key, and there we have static mesh key. So I'm going to select it. Ooh, now it looks like something. Very nice. Okay, so I have my static mesh here. I've got my collision here, which is the worst possible place to do it because when the player collides here, it's going to take the gem. So let's go ahead and move the collision inside the mesh. Right, so now the player collides with the mesh, it's going to give you the key. Okay, let's check it out. Compile, save, go back to our world. Oh, I'm going to drop this in my dock. And now I've got a actual key here. Let's play it. Wait a minute. Here we go. And I missed the key. And I missed it again. Key needed, but it's right there. We're having a problem. And this is the same problem that some of you had when you were trying to respawn when you were creating your own game. We don't have anything in the blueprint yet. So it's just a static mesh, not doing anything. So let's go back to our blueprint. And let's go to our event graph. And you've got these three right here. Just go ahead and delete them. All right, here is the nitty gritty. So here is our collision in components. And this is everything right here. This is the whole shebang-a-bang, so please pay attention. We're going to create our event, right? Because this whole thing has to start off with an event. The event being on component begin overlap. So when the player collides with the collision. So I'm going to click it. And we've seen this before. On component begin overlap. So what we're going to do next, we want to send the information from this blueprint of the key to the game so that we're letting the game know, yeah, there is a key, a key, a key. So go ahead and pull out from here. And we're going to cast to BP underscore hour of code game. Right, so we're casting to the game. So when the player hits the collision, it starts sending the information to the game. And the object is going to be get game mode. And these always go together like salt and pepper. Next, from as BP hour of code game, we're going to pull out set have key. So this is we're setting whether or not we have the key, right? But remember, this is like the power, the white connector. So right now we don't have it really going. To do this, we have to drag this one across. Now we're in business. And we have to select have key. So what we're saying here, when the player hits the collision, he's going to send information that to the game that we actually have the key. That's all that's saying. It hits, it sends information to the game that indeed we do have the key. That's why it's checked. And then after we send the information to the game showing that we have the key, let's play a sound. And we did this in the other lesson, play sound. And let's go ahead and play sound all around the game. Remember yesterday we did not, we played it just in the player location. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a sound. It doesn't really matter which one. I'll click this chime. All right, so now the player hits the collision. It sends information to the game saying, yes, indeed, we have the key. Then it plays a sound. And then after we play the sound, we want to destroy the actor. Okay, so after we play the sound, we have the key. We want the key gone because we're not going to be using it again. So let's pull out here. Destroy actor. Okay, so now let's compile and save. Destroy actor just means you're getting rid of this object. So now let's play it. All right, I got that sweet, cool sound. And now when I come up to it, it's no longer saying you need a key. And then I'll press E. And the door was open. Hurrah. All right, let's go ahead and move into the game. And let's put an end to this game. So let's go ahead and open up content drawer, blueprints, and find BP end goal and drag it in. And let's move it into this like mysterious light source, because it's very mysterious. All right. You can see, well, you can't see right here, but the word goal is turned. So let's go ahead and rotate it so that we can see the word goal. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and play it from here. And we did it. Hurrah. Okay, let's go ahead and get out of here. And let's open up our blueprints and find BP door locked activity 4 end. All right. Now let's check out this blueprint. Okay. So this is the blueprint for that door. When the collision happens, it checks to see if the door is open. And if the door is true, it's already open. That's the end. It's over. It stops. If the door is not open, it's false, then we move on to send this information again to the game. Cast to game, game mode. Then it's going to check, does the player have the key? True or false? So that's the condition. If the condition is met, then it moves on to true. If it's false, it moves on to here. All this code here is just saying you need to get a key, and we're not going to go over that, but it is there. Okay. Now what this one is saying, this little piece, if you leave the collision so you're no longer colliding with the door, it's disabling the input so that you cannot open the door, right? So it's just saying you've walked away from the collision so you cannot open the door anymore. That's it. Now, you've met all these conditions. Life is good. We have the key. So, now we're going to hit our E key. So when the E key is pressed, we're going back to our cast to BP game and our get game mode. Remember, there are a couple. Does the player have the key? Well, yes, the player does. Then it's going to continue on. If the player doesn't have a key, it's over. So if you hit E without a key, nothing happens. Has the key, it's true. So now we're going to move on once, do one time. You're taking the key out of the inventory. You're playing your sound. And now you're moving the door, right? This is the door, the static mesh, to the target Z location, right? In the world, the door moves downwards in the Z location. Now it sets the door as open, and it sets the door as open because in here, it checks to see if the door is open, right? So if you hit the collision again, it's going to be true, so nothing's going to happen. And then all this is the heads-up display. The texture is the key, and it's going to set it to the screen so that when we have the key and play the game, oh, they ditched the key. All right, so I've got the key, I've opened the door, and once I open the door, you see on this bottom left-hand corner, there's a little tiny version of it was right here. You can see a little tiny version of the key. And that is how you do it.